This meeting Zoom and stream live to the public on YouTube. I remind all attendees that participation in this meeting indicates consent that audio and video is being streamed and acknowledgement that after the meeting it will continue to be available in the public domain. Firstly, it would be useful if all forum members and officers could introduce themselves so the public are aware who is in the meeting and the role that they are undertaking. I'll start with myself, Councillor Gert Singh, and I'll go around to my left.
Councillor Helen Taylor, Vice Chair.
Councillor Catherine Del Campo, First Flat Ward Member and member of the panel.
Councillor Richard Coe, Maidenhead Riverside Ward.
Councillor George Shaw, Boyne Hill Ward.
Yeah, it's working now. Councillor Shaw Martin, Belmont Ward.
Councillor Clyde Baskerville, Penis Green Ward, and a member of the panel. Right, that one.
And Eleanor Wills, Regional Development Manager for the Great Western Railway.
Lawrence Ellis, Democratic Services, and covering my colleague Kim of this meeting.
Thank you. Okay, I request that meeting participants do not speak unless I specifically invite you to do so. Once you have been invited, before you do so, please state your name and capacity in which you're speaking, if appropriate to do so. I will ask officers to speak at appropriate times. Any individual who attempts to disrupt the meeting, I can use my powers in the Constitution to adjourn the meeting and have the individual removed. I don't think that'll be necessary today. We'll start with the first agenda item. First of all, do we have any apologies for absence?
No apologies, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, that's good. Number two, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? No? Okay. None? Good. Move on to the next one. 3 minutes of the meeting. Could we just formally agree the minutes of the meetings? Agreed. And thank you. And also the action points. Do we just want to go through the action points? Councillor Taylor?
We've got quite a few. So I've got 2 meetings. So the meeting on the 14th of November, we had one action to invite the Windsor and Maidenhead Carers Support Group to the forum. We have members of that group in attendance tonight who are going to present on agenda item 5. And an action to invite Great Western Railway to the forum to discuss the success of their battery trials. And we have Eleanor Willis with us tonight, who's going to present on agenda item 4. From the 15th of January, we had an action to contact the communities team about the possibility of setting up a campaign in association with Shop Mobility aimed at reducing isolation and building social connections. So a member of the team has advised that they're currently working on a wider communications plan to do with preventing social isolation and loneliness. And they have agreed to liaise with Shop Mobility to ask what they may wish to input. So I'm assuming we can pop that on a later meeting, maybe after discussion. Also from the 15th of January, we had an action to revisit the issue of the Desborough Theatre at future forum meetings. We've been advised that the management of the Desborough Suite sits with the facilities team. There are ongoing discussions about next steps, but no update beyond what Robin mentioned during the last forum meeting. And we're going to see if there are any further updates ahead of the next forum meeting, which is going to be on the 8th of May. This one is my fault, apologies. We were going to have a discussion about changing the name of the Maidenhead Town Forum. I unfortunately wasn't present that evening for personal reasons, so it was agreed to defer in case I wanted to give my thoughts. So we're going to have a little discussion on agenda item 8, I think, about that tonight. And then the last one was to invite a representative from my Royal Borough to the forum. We've been unable to get hold of anyone from my Royal Borough, but hopefully we will be able to get a representative to attend a future meeting.
Okay.
Over and out.
I think that's going to be Steph James, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll put that one, that last one on for future chase up. Thank you very much for that, Councillor Taylor. We've done quite well on those action points. Got a few of those marked off. Just before I move on to next agenda item, agenda item number 6, O'Reilly were due to attend today, Unfortunately, they've not been able to attend, and they were looking at coming virtually. Given the importance of this development and the regeneration of town centre, we didn't think that was appropriate. So mutually, we've agreed to defer the presentation from already till the next meeting, so they can be in person in the room and answer the questions from residents. So that will be moved. That will be moved on. But we have got someone filling in for that from the big weekend, which is going to be held in Braywick Park. So that'll be very exciting. We'll hear about that. Thank you very much. So anyway, the minutes have been, are they all agreed? Thank you. Good. So then we go straight on to agenda item number 4. This is from Great Western Railway. We've got Eleanor Wills here. Hello, Eleanor. To give an update about rapid weekend, which is going to be held in Braywick Park. So that'll be very exciting. We'll hear about that. Thank you very much. So anyway, the minutes have been, are they all agreed? Thank you. Good. So then. Hello?
We've got a feedback going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. How much did you hear? Start again. So we've got Great Western Railway here. Eleanor Wills. Welcome to the forum. This was an action point from a previous meeting. There was issues in the borough regarding some of these trains, and we were discussing earlier in the gallery about the Marlow donkey and these steam trains and things. Although they're fascinating and historical importance, they don't really go with the cleaner, greener, sort of corporate plan that we've got here in the borough. So anyway, I'll pass it on to you, Eleanor, to talk to us about this rapid charging. Very exciting. You have the floor. If just press a button and it should be live.
Thank you very much, Councillor Singh, and thank you very much for everyone for allowing us to come and talk to you today. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm responsible for regional development in the east of the Great Western Railway network, so very much here in terms of thinking about the future service, the timetable, the infrastructure and the third-party investment that might be coming forward to deliver this. And I suppose if you were going to ask me what the #1 headline was for RBWM and for Maidenhead and for Marlow, it's absolutely what that means in terms of the future new rolling stock for Bourne End. So if we go to the first slide, if that's okay, really wanting to kind of start from a first principles basis here. I will be talking about it at a broad term, if you like. So if you've got any particular questions or anything you want me to kind of go into on the technical side, just let me know. I'm really happy to do that. But I guess the question really was, what were we trying to do? Why did we put a zero emission battery train on a branch line in West Ealing? Why did Great Western Railway think that was the right thing to do? Well, if you go on to the next slide, what I thought I'd actually do is start off with the problem that we have as an operator. And if you look at the map that's on the screen at the moment, everything that is on a bright green line is essentially still running from diesel rolling stock. So these are predominantly for the Thames Valley Class 165s that have been around probably since before I was born and around the time of the Soviet Union, which is remarkable in itself. And particularly to have such a prosperous part of the country running on ageing trains. And what that means as well is that customers will be seeing on a day-to-day basis performance issues and the general challenges that come with looking after and maintaining a much older fleet, if you like. So we knew that our trains need to be replaced in the future, but one of the questions very much within the industry at the moment is how and with what technology. And I think probably if you're thinking about buying a car at the moment, you might be thinking about, well, what kind of car am I going to buy? Is it going to be electric? Is it going to be petrol or whatever? And the rail industry faces those same kinds of questions. So if we go to the next slide, if that's okay. At the moment, this is what you can see on the Marlow branch line today. It's about 7 miles long. And one of the key challenges we have with the trains today actually is that you have to change at Bourne End in the peak. So many of you will know that, but it's worth us just reiterating that that's probably one of the key challenges that we need to be fixing, if you like, with that Marlow branch line. I found it brilliant to get to know the Marlow area and Buckinghamshire Council as well in terms of partnering with us to work on this as well as RBWM. And actually recognising just the economic benefit that exists in Marlow with those businesses as well. So we really understand that we need to be improving the train service for the community and also for those businesses in the Marlow and Bourne End area. So if we go to the next slide. And I think this is just really reiterating that point around today, probably the automotive sector is much more advanced, if you like, in terms of understanding what that future power supply will look like for vehicles on the road. But actually, there was a bigger question for the rolling stock. So probably you can skip the next one and start to get into some of the content around the West Ealing battery train trial. But if you go to the next slide. Yeah. So as Councillor Singh mentioned earlier, there's a real need, I guess, to align ourselves as the industry with local and regional priorities. And that very much actually even speaks to things like the Great British Railway, industry consultation that came out about a week ago, that real recognition that the industry needs to be talking to local priorities and aligning with those. And one of the key ones, obviously, locally will be things like air pollution, road congestion, and also thinking about how the council here will be driving forward net zero, the rollout of EV charging infrastructure, those sorts of things you'll see locally. But actually, we need to make sure that we as an industry are delivering on that cleaner, greener future that you're seeking as residents and as customers. So I think really a couple of key headlines from this slide. I think, first of all, we are absolutely at a critical juncture within the industry in terms of diesel now starting to be seen as maybe an outmoded way of powering trains. And that's actually that kind of that top story there on the Times, if you like, came from Simon Green, our engineering director. But actually, if you look at the reports to the bottom right, we've also had the likes of the Rail Industry Association, the supply chain, start to move as well towards the use of battery emission units. And these are really in place actually in quite a lot of Europe now. So they're coming forward in Dublin. You've got sort of bi-modes almost in South Wales as well as on the continent. So it's very kind of recognising, if you like, that essentially this technology is in place or is emerging now, if you like, around much of sort of Western Europe. And we need to think about what it means for England in particular. I think what it's worth me saying as well is that there are kind of two key points to draw out here. First of all, the actual trial itself was very much about the fast charge element. So when we go and have a look at the pictures in a minute of the trial at West Ealing, you've essentially got, and I'll talk it through a bit later, but you've basically got a charging pack, if you like, built into the track. And next to it is a rudimentary shipping container that essentially is this sort of two-pronged approach, if you like, to charging the train. That particular, if you like, kind of, it looks almost like Lego bricks kind of been plugged into the track. That's not necessarily the actual way that we will be putting energy into our trains in the future. And actually what we will be looking at doing is also thinking about the use of OLE in very small parts of our network as well. And that being kind of, if you like, the mechanism by which those trains are charged across different parts of the Thames Valley and things as well. So essentially, in a minute when we look at the trial, you'll see the charging infrastructure in one way, but there are two ways you can do it. And actually, I think there might be some user group members in here tonight. And if you would like to come and see the train, obviously you're very, very welcome. We're happy to kind of show you that technology in kind of the actual environment itself. I'd open that up and also to the councillors as well. And I also think the other point, you might have seen it coming forward from like the Rail Minister and others, is this point around discontinuous electrification. So the idea that actually, and what this report is trying to get at, is that you don't need to run really expensive OLE across a large swathe of the rail network and all that investment that costs. And actually you can use small bits of electrification to be able to power trains. So they'll essentially kind of come off the charging infrastructure, continue running along the line, and then pick up essentially where there's a bit more OLE in place as well. And we've had positive noise from the Rail Minister and others about that. So if we get on to the next slide. So really wanted to just provide a bit of background as to kind of why and how this all came to being. So on the picture, if you like, is the train. It's a refurbished London Underground unit, if you like. So probably 40 years ago, probably older. It was in use, in service. It's been converted. And essentially, we've got a large supply of trains in Long Marston, but this is the one that we've essentially taken forward using the IP from Viva Rail. So that's Adrian Tutor from Chiltern Railways and the technology that he sort of, or the business that he'd, if you like, originated. We picked the West Ealing branch line because it's actually a very small, discrete line, if you like, across the Thames Valley. And it's only, in a way, it's a very good way to test the technology. And we're still in driver training and the user testing, if you like, at the moment. So it's allowed us, if you like, to be able to run a train in a shadow state almost alongside the normal passenger operations, and actually given us a good amount of time to be able to critique and challenge the technology as we've gone. I think it's worth saying we haven't got a firm date yet to be able to bring it into passenger service. We're still in driver training, but it's very much our ambition that we do get that train operational, if you like, and that passengers can use it. In the meantime, it's really great that we can bring key stakeholders and partners along with us to actually come and see the train in person. And it's been a really lovely way to be able to demonstrate the fact that that train exists and that this is technology that is eventually going to come forward onto the network. It's a nice way to kind of actually demonstrate what you're often talking about. So just onto the next slide. And if you go one more. Yeah, so this was just a very quick one. You can just see essentially it's about 2 miles on the Greenfield branch line. So a very discrete amount of the network, if you like. On to the next one. And what I was really just going to do was just to kind of talk you through how the technology is working and what the actual trial itself is looking at. So this is Platform 5 at West Ealing. It's very much kind of, if you're at the station, it's sort of nicely kind of tucked away to the side. To the right of this picture, the right of the train, you can see the shipping container I mentioned earlier. So what happens is that acts as kind of part one or part A, if you like, of the overall charging system. And essentially where that shipping container is where the power supply comes in from the national grid. A cable then feeds essentially the power bank, which is on the track, and we'll go in a minute to the next picture, I'll be able to show you that. But essentially what happens is the electricity charges the power bank on the track, and essentially you're trickle charging, so you're very gently bringing up the charge on the power supply on the actual track, so that when that train comes back in again, and it's only about a 20-minute round trip, it can then trickle charge the train itself. So basically what you're doing is you're bringing the charge across from the national grid onto the track, but we're not having to do any reinforcement of the national grid. So essentially, where we've got across the network challenges around the power supply and the strength of that, what this means is that we're not needing necessarily to do some of the wider infrastructure work, which might delay the rollout of the trains elsewhere in the future. So essentially, it's trying to find a way to mitigate some of those power supply challenges elsewhere in the country. I think if we go on to the next slide, and you can just see here, so essentially, there are RFID attachments to the shoe gear on the train that now allows the train essentially to kind of find its way and basically lock onto the charging bank onto the right. And that means that essentially on board you've got computers which can monitor where the train is, it knows when it's charging, and essentially probably the rolling stock of the future will give the driver that insight, if you like, into the essentially kind of how charged the battery is, and allows them to monitor the progress. I think if you go on to the next slide, this is really just a bit of a confirmation, and actually it's quite a really, in a way, it's a nicely boring story. And I say that because probably about sort of 12 months or so, we've been charging or testing this train at West Ealing, and we've had no issues, which has been brilliant to see. So a lot of the time over the past couple of months, it's about testing the trains in various conditions that you might expect. So it could be whether it's warm or cold weather, it could be leaf fall, it could be different types of driver style, or driving style, passenger loadings. And it's been about how the train operates within that. And often the key question we get from partners is, how is the trial going? And actually it's gone really, really well. So at the moment, the only kind of challenge for us is really around ensuring that we've got, we're able to kind of get all the accreditation to allow that train to enter passenger service, and that we've got all of the drivers trained to be able to do that. I think what's really interesting in terms of taking it forward, this isn't the idea. We won't be taking or kind of refurbishing more of these trains. That's not the plan. The plan was always to test the fast charge technology and actually procure new battery emission or battery trains for the Thames Valley first, if you like. So essentially what we're not looking at is the train of the future, but we're looking at the technology that will power that future rolling stock. And what you can see on the right is, the first one is the launch day with the team, and actually the second photo in is great because it's a lovely photo of the Network Rail team who were working on GWEP. as well as the electrical engineers who've been working on the test train. And then the guy in the white shirt is our head of Project Churchwood at Great Western Railway. And it's the idea that it's acting as a continuous learning point as we seek to then in the future bring forward those new trains. We've got this sort of almost like laboratory that's running up and down this Greenfield branch line. And that's giving us a lot of insight into how that trial is working. So if we go to the next slide. And what we've got here is just a little bit of a summary, if you like, in terms of what the solution is starting to emerge, if you like, for Marlow in particular. So go to the next slide. So at the moment, we've got, as you can see, obviously the OLE at Maidenhead station for the branch line platform. And I think one of the key benefits for Great Western Railway with Churchwood is that unlike lots of other operators, the plans that we're putting forward don't need lots of really expensive electrification in the east. We absolutely recognise the pressure on the taxpayer. We know that we've got to do things efficiently. So what's really great to see is that we can actually maximise the existing investment, if you like, and what we've already been given. And at the moment, I would say we're looking less at the actual power supply and the charging mechanism. The main thing will be working with Network Rail in terms of how we reconfigure the track at Bourne End to allow us to basically remove that change in the peak, and you're creating a through service all the way to Marlow. So that's more of the challenge for here than it is, say, how we're going to actually charge the trains because of the OLE already in place in Maidenhead. And then the rest of the pictures, essentially, if we just go to the next one. Oh. So all we essentially what the next or what the infrastructure looks like along the branch line if we keep going. And we think it's not, you don't need to add, if you like, a long amount of electrification. You probably need to get up to about kind of first plat or thereabout. So we're literally just running the train, maybe even just sort of outside of Maidenhead station. And then beyond that, we won't need any further electrification sort of in the Bourne End or Marlow area. And if we keep going. And it's really just a summary, if you like, of what the track looks like today. I think the key challenge, as I said, will be where we put the passing loop or something else, or some kind of track configuration that allows us to do that work. And I think we're just coming to the end, if you like. You can see the end, yeah, the end of the OLE, and then this is essentially the key place that we need to be looking at to ensure that we're getting or we're reconfiguring, if you like, to be able to put those new trains in. And the reason is that the platform as is doesn't accommodate the length of the train that we want to put in for a battery train. We want to increase capacity. We want to make rail a really attractive way to get between Marlow and Maidenhead. So essentially to accommodate a battery train, you need to provide essentially a longer platform. You need to be able to reconfigure the track to be able to allow the trains to pass. And that's the key challenge at the moment. I think that is the end of it. So really, I guess what we're saying is across the next couple of years, this is a focus for our business. We will keep working very, very closely with local councils, with local partners. We're very keen to engage locally. I'm really happy to meet separately and bring the electrical engineering team or anyone else that you'd like to meet and to be able to provide that sort of detailed work. I think at the moment we're not able yet to sort of provide dates and things. We're just working through the solution at the moment for Bourne End. But we're really keen that once we have those answers in place that we can come back and, if you like, keep you posted in terms of how things are progressing. But I think what we want to do is just keep progressing that work and sort of not raise expectations, because we know Bourne End is going to be a really tricky problem to solve. But we will absolutely make sure that as soon as we get further updates that we can share, that we will do that. But I guess at the moment we're looking at hopefully early 2030s, that new battery train coming forward in Bourne End with an improved service, and we will just keep working on that as an industry as we have been doing so far.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Eleanor. Really, really impressive work there, and very pleased that the trial's been successful in Ealing. Yeah, really good. I know we've got some questions here. I just wanted to ask you, one thing that just sort of struck me was it was really good that you're using the trains that you've previously sort of been decommissioned. And that's really good. So obviously you're using the inbuilt carbon and putting it back on the rails. Why the change? Why wouldn't you continue using them? And what's the reason of like putting brand new stock on? Is it logistical or efficiency?
Yeah, we've got a really interesting dilemma, I guess, because The amount of class 165s that we need to replace, we're looking at about 90 vehicles or so for the East region alone. So essentially, it's more that it's, you know, thinking about kind of what we want to leave the next generation. It's about introducing new trains that will last that amount of time. And actually, you've got, I think if you look at kind of the modern BMU offer from, if you look at kind of, you essentially can even see the trains that come forward in places like Dublin now for their metro system. You've got things like the ability to walk through the train, it's a better customer experience, improved accessibility. And actually one of the things we found with the class 165s is even things like the configuration for people with prams or for wheelchairs and bikes and all sorts, that it's almost like it feels like it's a 1990s train. It doesn't feel like it necessarily matches up with the expectations of customers today. So it's more that we can get broader benefits for the user if we can get those new trains in. And they look brilliant. I'd really recommend if you're on a weekend to go to, you know, whether it is Italy or wherever, you know, it's really impressive what those trains look like in comparison to what we have at the moment.
Thank you, brilliant. Well, we may take you up on that field trip. Thank you. I've got Councillor Coe up next. Thank you.
Yeah, so if I understood you correctly, the idea would be to electrify the first bit of the branch line, and then the train would charge on the first bit of the journey and on its return on the last bit of the journey, and it would run on battery the rest. And is that a model that will work on all of your branch lines in these? Because obviously we've also got the Windsor branch line, which is very short, and I don't know if the viaduct is a listed structure as well, and how that impacts with electrification with overhead wires and stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, at the moment, we can't give the distances and things. So Network Rail are currently doing that technical assessment with us, if you like. So we haven't got the kind of the breakdown, if you like, but absolutely, that's the sort of the whole principle of discontinuous electrification, which is you're running a very small amount of OLE to be able to allow that train to charge. And actually, probably for each journey that it's making, each return trip on the Greenford branch line, you're looking about kind of 6% use of the battery. So the team will kind of deliberately run it down and see how that works, and they'll test, you know, the battery life if actually power it. And that's the whole point of that fast charge element of the trial. And that is what we're looking at for the rest of the network, particularly on the east. We've got lots of branch lines in the Thames Valley. And it's almost that idea that potentially it becomes better value for money to do that smaller bits of electrification. You're seeing much wider arguments sort of playing out for East West Rail and others, but at least on the Thames Valley branch lines, if you've got a bit of OLE at Maidenhead or Slough, that's a really easy way to be able to bring those battery trains into use. So I think very much watching brief, and we will, as I said, we will come back when we've got that more detailed work done, but very much engaging with the department and very much working on this at the moment.
Thank you. Did you want to come back on that, Richard? Or? That's okay. Okay, and I've got next to Councillor Del Campo. I know Catherine's been campaigning hard on getting the branch line electrified. First Black councillor as well, so it's on the route.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I mean, the residents who live around First Platte Station will be absolutely delighted when this can happen. I mean, obviously we care about the planet. That's really important. But if you live right next to First Platte Station, and you wouldn't think that 2 trains going through each way an hour would cause that much pollution, but they're telling me the curtains are black, you know. So, you know, it's a global issue, but it's also a local health issue, and this is really exciting. When you were doing your presentation, and I noticed on the first slide, you know, the aim is to be net zero by 2050, and I actually thought you were going to tell us we've got to wait till 2050, but you know, there is a hope. I think that's the way you expressed it, that this can get going in the early 2030s. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at the moment, I think we're very much working on the business case development. So that's why at the moment we can't say, you know, the absolute year it will come in. We can't say that we have, you know, we're very much working very closely with the Department of Transport to progress that business case work. So we can say kind of what the aspiration is. And we're very keen to bring you to the battery train trial so you can see it in more detail and have that kind of broader conversation, if you like, about it. But we are very keen to make sure that we are communicating regular updates, and when we do have more news, we'll absolutely be pleased to share that. And I think you're right. I think there's a huge amount to be said for that local decarbonisation agenda. many local authorities, for example, are investing in electric buses or shared mobility and all sorts. And actually, the rail network can play a massive role in terms of air pollution and all sorts of other improvements that we can actually offer. So I think we're really excited about the opportunity to speak to broader benefits, but even in terms of kind of economic connectivity, improving productivity in the Thames Valley and those sorts of things. So yes, and I think it's fair to say early 2030s, and as I said, we will come back when we've got more clarity on that. It's just the 165s are not going to last forever, as you can probably tell already.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Shaw.
Yes, I'd like to say I'm delighted to hear that some thought and love is being given to Bourne End, because I used to work in High Wycombe and I'd take that train every day, and I spent probably multiple hundred hours sat on a pile of bricks on Bourne End station waiting for the next ones in. So it's nice that it is getting some love. I do have a question with the trials. Is anything work or thought being put into, I assume that if it's under rail charging, that it's battery packs on the underside of the trains. Is there any thought or work being done into kind of impact resistance and protection? Because I'm very aware that on certain lithium-ion batteries, impacts are known to cause fires, and I heard there was a train fire in America in 2017. So is that being looked at, and is any kind of enhanced fire infrastructure being put in place or planned?
So I think we can talk about it more broadly in terms of generalised safety, if you like, because there are all sorts of things that can happen with that kind of technology. And essentially, so first of all, the batteries are very well insulated, if you like. So particularly kind of weather dependent or other aspects, we're ensuring that those batteries won't fail, if you like, if it's particularly icy or whatever the weather is. So, and it's been very robustly tested as well in terms of the Viva Rail team, and now through to Great Western, where there's that IP's transferred over. And we have got, I think that essentially we're having to just to do the, if you like, the driver training, but there's no concern, if you like, about the actual battery technology itself, because it's been so well proven, I guess, within the industry. And the fact that we've got battery trains running literally across Western Europe, the industry itself is working very hard to ensure the safety element is fully considered. So yes, absolutely, there's no worry about, for us anyway, that sort of thing happening. And I know that the team are very passionate about ensuring that those batteries are, you know, as well protected as they can be, and that we're addressing that as well.
Thank you. Councillor Baskerville.
Thank you. There's a few points. How do you, or what's the system of liaising with all the other bits of the railway network, like rail track, network rail, Elizabeth line and all that? Do you have a good working relationship with them, and how has it been developed over the years?
Yes, no, it's fair to say. I mean, the work we're doing with the wider sort of project, if you like, is very much joint between Great Western Railway and Network Rail, and it's really nice actually to have that level of sort of almost kind of cohesive working. It's a really good sort of shared endeavour here, and I think you do need that kind of whole system kind of track and train approach. The whole proposition of a battery train is that it tends to be a lot lower kind of whole life cost, if you like. And that actually means that essentially it's probably, hopefully, going to demonstrate good value for money in the longer term as well. We work very closely with the Elizabeth line team, and I guess I know that there are other sort of timetabling type things or any other kind of questions you might have in the future. So if you want to get in touch about anything else that's outside of this trial, if that's more about the interface with our services with theirs, then you're very welcome to get in touch.
Thank you. I mean, on that point, you mentioned Bourne End there. Of course, up till 1970, it used to carry on to High Wycombe, and there's been talk of maybe revisiting that line again. Are you involved in those conversations at all?
Not in an active way, I suppose, but I think we're very much as an industry always looking at new ways to grow and develop the network, and always looking at kind of new funding that comes forward, particularly from department and also from local councils. So it's not something that we've kind of, I haven't seen it come through via sort of your subnational transport bodies and other bits, but always very keen to have that conversation.
Good. And one other point, I mean, it's in the next decade, but this country, I think we're the first to have a rail system, and it'd be the 200th anniversary next year. Of course, we got the Brunel Bridge here, which is one of our key points, I suppose, on the network. And how are you thinking about that yet, or are you is it too far in the future?
No, so we're really keen to celebrate Railway 200. And we would obviously absolutely encourage local partners to do that as well. And we did have some really lovely bids actually for our Customer Community Improvement Fund for the Marlow line. And I know that we'll be able to announce the results of that bidding process coming up sort of later on in March as well. So there's definitely going to be celebratory activity. And we have got further announcements coming up this year as well in terms of our comms team who've been working on events and things to celebrate that. There is lots of activity going on for Railway 200, almost kind of outside of Great Western Railway as well. So, for example, at the Didcot Railway Centre, they've got the Flying Scotsman and Pendennis Castle. So, lots of other things to be getting involved in, and probably lots of hopeful kind of good memories as well for the summer ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've just got Councillor Taylor here with the question. And then Councillor Shaw.
Thank you, Chair. Did I hear you correctly when you said that the platforms weren't long enough at Bourne End and you were looking to have longer trains on the line?
So we would like to. At the moment, we're having to do all of the detailed design work to understand essentially what's possible with new trains in the future. So at the moment, we can't say, we can't give further detail, if you like, on capacity, but it's one of those considerations. Can we run a longer train at Bourne End with emergency infrastructure?
As someone who used to use the service quite regularly in the summer, it's a lovely branch line, a very nice journey, and Marlow's beautiful. It can be a bit of a bun fight at Marlow, trying to get everyone on two carriages. So I'd like to suggest respectfully that the conversation around a longer train would be probably welcomed by a lot of residents that use that line, because sometimes it is incredibly hot, incredibly packed, and sometimes you end up having to wait for the next train, which we all know they go up and down, that's an hour. So that would be quite a welcome thing, I think, for many residents in the area.
Definitely, and that's informing the work that we're doing at the moment on the track layout, if you like, to permit that, and absolutely, I think absolutely get that pressure, if you like. So we're very keen to ensure as well that those new trains have, I said, the sort of modern expectations. You mentioned earlier about the Elizabeth line, and actually having a standard train or the quality of a train that's more akin to what you have in Maidenhead with the 387s or the Elizabeth line trains, I know would be really welcome. So that's why also we're wanting to bring in new rolling stock rather than that former destock instead.
Okay. Councillor Shaw.
Might be a bit cheeky question, but from testing so far, I know with the change from diesel cars to electric cars, they've got a lot quieter. Are the new trains quieter?
Yeah, they're silent. So yeah, as I said, you know, very, very keen to show you the technology in person in West Ealing. And it is absolutely brilliant. There's a slight moment where every time we go and take some visitors on it, and the train moves. So it's a really basic point, but that sense that you're moving and there's no sound around you at all. And obviously Greenford's actually quite a nice, it's a really nice silent area. It's quite peaceful. And just that idea that you're on a train that's running off battery power, and it just feels so exciting and so innovative. And I guess what we want to do is now obviously bring that to your local community. It's just that there's a huge amount of work that we've got to do to get to that point. But I just wanted to assure everyone we're absolutely committed to doing that work, to getting to the right answer.
Brilliant, thank you. You might have to, like, on some of them electric cars, you have like a fake grunt on them, don't you? Because they're so quiet, there's a vroom vroom. So you might have like a choo choo on the train. So yeah, so that'd be good. Have we got any members of the public with any questions? We've got lots of, yeah, Alice, do you want to, you can sit on this chair here and hit the button if you want, and then
Talk up to the microphone, please.
yeah. Or Jack, do you want to pass the mic to the gentleman? It'd be easier that way. Thank you.
No, I just wanted to ask, some of the images you've shown of trains are much longer than the Marlow train. I'm wondering, does this involve the use of motors on every single carriage?
So I can't comment about the future rolling stock and what that configuration will look like, because at the moment we have to do the business case work to then go out. If we get permission through the business case process, then that allows us to go out to market later on. The current configuration of the battery power, or the battery packs, if you like, on the train is essentially one at each end of the train. So you don't have batteries running the length of it. You've only got it at basically where the power packs are in on the track itself.
Yes. So, but I mean, the battery packs can be wherever they want, but it's just a matter of where, would you have a motor on each carriage, or would you have it sort of locomotive style, in like a one power unit?
Yes, I think it's more that it's running across key parts of the train rather than across the whole length of it instead.
Sure. Mhm. I think the gentleman at the back. Thank you.
Recognise me. I've got two questions. Basically, because this year I enter my 80th year, why the lead time up to the year 2020? And secondly, you're intending to use similar or slightly changed rolling stock. There are limitations on the line because of bridges and other things, and is this going to cause a problem?
So the question around timescales, I think if anyone's seen potentially sort of other industry rolling stock procurements, it does take a long time. We are very much at the moment, I think it's fair to say the business case process means that we have to do a lot of work to get to a point where we have permission from our industry partners and from DfT. And I think it's essentially that is hopefully it's earlier within the 2030s rather than kind of later. But what I guess we're saying is there's not at the moment much flex within that time scale we've got to do all of the design work for the track across the eastern part of the Great Western Railway network. Then we've got to do things like the rolling stock design activity and the infrastructure design activity, and develop essentially the three-stage business case process that government sets out. So your strategic outline business case, your outline business case, and your full business case. And by that point, we will have had that decision made by government. So very much after that has happened, then you've obviously got all of the network rail, delivery activity, and then you've got the instruction or the manufacturing and the instruction of those trains as well, and driver testing and all the stuff that comes along with that as well. So it's more just the fact that there's a lot of stuff to do to make this happen, but we're absolutely not sort of adding fat within that timeline. We're trying to go at the pace that is acceptable. But at the moment, we recognise that it is going to be a big challenge to get this done. But equally, we'd rather do this correctly and make sure that the right answers there for the Bourne End branch line as an example, rather than something that's just not fit for purpose, really. And your second question was
basically about the limitations that will be on the actual.
Yes, sorry, yeah, good point. I have to say, because about 2 weekends ago, I did the walk from Maidenhead up to Bourne End, and you get a really lovely feel for the branch line around it and the kind of the natural environment around the line itself. The designs that we're looking at the moment don't interact, or the bridge doesn't cause issues, if that makes sense. So it's more about people's back gardens and fence lines and things like that. So no, it's more a case of what will the industry tolerate in terms of those different options coming forward. But safe to say it's gone up to MD level and everyone has got eyes on it, as you can imagine. So it's very much a business priority to look at how we can best find the solution, if you like, with our network rail partners as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public gallery? No. And do we have any other questions from councillors? No. Okay, I think that's everything then. Catherine.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming, and thank you for your energy and enthusiasm. It's wonderful. I think it was a few meetings ago, wasn't it, where I actually put my hand up. One of your colleagues was here, and I said, I asked whether we'd be able to get the Cookham line electrified, and I was expecting a one-word answer. No, that's what I thought the answer was going to be. So I'm absolutely thrilled, actually, to hear about this project. Thank you.
No, thank you. And I'll make sure I take councillors' details and anyone else who's looking for more information. and make sure that we, hopefully come back maybe on an annual basis and able to kind of keep you sighted on progress and how we're doing as well. Because it's nice to know beyond today that I hopefully would like to come back and give you more information, and we can keep that as a regular conversation, because actually I think the health of the railways in this country means that we need local authorities and we need user groups to really help to shout about what rail can do for communities. And the whole basis of the work that we're doing is all about unlocking those local benefits. So yeah, we would love to work with this council and other partners in the local area further.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming. Yeah, I mean, as an administration, we are pushing forward on these clean green issues, and if we can use existing infrastructure and better improve usage, we're all for that. So whatever we can do to help GWM, whether it's joint bids or appealing to the Department for Transport. I know they've got their rail environment policy statement out, and they're looking at, I think, two-fifths of the network's already electrified, and they're pushing more. So if we can have these lines electrified, it would really help, because Maidenhead is a key station on the Elizabeth Line network, and we have a lot of people coming in from Marlow and Bourne-End, and a lot of commuters. The station's completely packed in the morning. So if we can increase that and take cars off the road, that will really help. So we're willing to work with you. So keep the conversations going with officers and councillors, and hopefully we can accelerate that and bring that 2030 number and put a 2029 or 2020 something. Yeah. Thank you. Cheers. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of the meeting, or you can leave if you want now. But thank you. Thank you. Cheers. I just got one comment quickly from Councillor Baxter.
You mentioned to Ellen about the drop-off point at the station before the meeting, so she's aware of that.
Yeah.
And because we mentioned that at previous meetings, I think it's worth revisiting that possibly.
Yeah, I mean, again, very happy to come back and present on that. I don't think I'm saying anything that people don't know, but I met with the local MP just over a week ago now to talk about those issues. And I think that the report that is sort of in that series of tweets helps to iterate kind of the key points that were raised. So absolutely a key priority for us, and we're looking forward to working with the administration and with the local MPs and local councillors more generally as well on that one.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ellen. Cheers. Okay.
Enjoy your dinner.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move on to the next agenda item now. So we've got the Windsor and Maidenhead Carer Support Group. Veronica Cairns is here to present. So Veronica, did you want to?
I can't to the middle table, just where Councillor Doug's putting the microphone on.
Or can we have Veronica up here and use that for the residents? Again, residents got a question. You want to do that? Yeah.
You can go up there. So
Okay.
Or do you want to go up right next to Councillor Shaw so that the residents can ask their questions?
Yeah,
there?
is that easier, Veronica? Just so we can keep that mic free in case any residents got any questions. You can sit here next to Councillor Shaw, if that's all right. Thank you. So yeah, this was a request previously. It was actually from Councillor Shaw, wasn't it? From to invite the Windsor Maidenhead Carers Group. Yeah. So you have the floor. Veronica, if you want to explain to us about.
Can't compete with the previous speaker.
I'm sure you can. I'm sure you can.
But anyway, I thought I'd start off by telling you a little history about the carers group as it is now. It started around about 2002, 2003, and then it had 3 or 4 members. Then they took on a carers champion at the community mental health team, and she really got it going. And I think I was about one of the 4th or 5th members. I brought a couple of the members with me, and so we used to meet in Reform Road, which I'm sure a lot of you probably have forgotten about. And then they moved to Nicholson House. So we were then told that we could meet at the town hall. And we still had our carers champion that worked for the council and Berkshire Healthcare. I presume it's shared. And when I joined that I'd gone through a very dark spell with it, because we're all carers of people with mental health problems. And my husband wasn't interested in talking to anybody, but I just needed to open up. So joining the group really sort of saved me at that time, because I think I was like, found it very difficult to cope with. So we carried on, and then 3.5 years ago, the carers champion, she retired. But prior to her retiring, we used to meet at the town hall after Reform Road. And then we were told after COVID that we couldn't come back to the town hall and that we'd have to find our own facilities. So that's what we did. But we still had the carers champion as our lead. And then when she retired, we just somehow managed to keep it going. So we support ourselves, we're self-funding, and we've got about 23 members. Not everybody attends every month because it's a monthly meeting, because obviously it depends on their circumstances. So, and we try to get speakers to come along and talk to us so that we can keep up to date with what's going on. It's very difficult though, because we don't have any contact at all now with the community mental health team. We do have a very nice lady that makes sure that our carers assessments are done every year. And, but apart from that, but I used to be a governor for Berkshire Healthcare, and through the contacts, and I still do a bit of voluntary work with them, and I managed to get the carers lead to keep us up to date, and she comes regularly to our meetings and sends us all sorts of leaflets and pamphlets and asks for our opinion. And I think we can be quite helpful, as well as supporting, other carers. And then, sorry, I just need to get to my notes to see. Right, so we do find now that it's very important to keep the group going, because when you're in a crisis, our loved ones don't have broken arms or broken legs, so they appear quite well to our friends and our relations, but they're not. And we all understand each other, and we can open up at the meetings. And sometimes we laugh, sometimes we cry, and sometimes we have speakers and various, it just depends. And it might be sometimes just one person that's really in crisis, and then another time everybody's in crisis. So, but we have a couple of rules, and we say that carers only, and that telephones obviously have to be off, and what's said in the room stays in the room. So you feel secure, because it's really good to get these sort of things off your chest. But I think it's really sad that there isn't any support from the authorities or Berkshire Healthcare now. I don't know really how we've managed to keep it going. I think it's really because we understand each other, because we know what it's like. And I still find that friends of mine don't understand, and yet they've known my son all his life. I mean, he's going to be 47 now. So it's been a long journey, and there must be lots of other people in Berkshire in this situation, or around Maidenhead, really, Windsor and Maidenhead. But there doesn't seem to be enough support for them. And we don't get any referrals, which I understand that's for health and safety reasons, because we're not vetted and we don't have a professional lead now. And so I just really feel that it's very important to, if you could sort of think about this and maybe bring this to, whoever it is that, I don't know how to put it, but I just feel that I wouldn't like to go back to not having our group. I think it just is a lifeline. And really, that's all I can say about it. I don't know whether anybody's got any questions or whether any of the people that have come with me like to say anything.
Right, do you wanna go to the microphone, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just, yeah, you can just press the button on that, that's it. Yeah. That's it.
Press the other, press the left,
That's it.
Yeah, basically, when we went to the support group, we didn't know where to turn. And we were directed there by the lead from CMHT. And we met people going through what we were going through. And they understood what we were going through and helped us a lot. So, you know, it's really a worthwhile group. And recently we've had a couple of new people join us, which we've just met at other places, and they've said they're suffering the same sort of things. And they've had no support. They didn't know where to turn to. So, you know, it's a good thing that needs, in my opinion, support from the council and the authorities. And that's all.
Yeah, because the point is that when the carers champion retired, she was going to be replaced, and that never happened. I think they did advertise. I mean, obviously, I don't know all the details about it, and whether they didn't get anybody, but certainly after 3.5 years, you would have thought if they were going to replace her. So we don't have, like when people come to the meeting, they're in crisis and they don't know which way to turn. We've all got like different knowledge now through the years. So we do have like a bit of knowledge, and we, you know, I will pester people at the CMHT if need be, but we're not professionals. We're just carers for people with mental health problems, and we haven't got any direction in, you know, we don't know exactly what's going on because of not having anybody to lead us that is a professional or works for the council or for Berkshire Healthcare. I mean, it makes a big difference that the carer strategy is still going, albeit it does take a long time for these things. When I was a governor, that was finally agreed that there would be a carer strategy. I mean, and I've now, I did 9 years and I haven't been a governor now for about 8 years. So, and they're still working on it, but there is progress. But I just feel that there's not any progress to help people in this area that are in the situation, because when you're in dire straits with someone with mental health illness, it is black, it really can be. But I hope that sort of explains what we're about.
It does. Thank you very much, Veronica, for explaining that, what you do. First of all, thank you to all of you guys for all the work you do. And for coming together, because, you know, there is an old saying, isn't there? Sort of problem shared is problem halved. And, you know, sometimes, you know, it does help to talk to people, but, you know, just sort of thinking of it from like my background, kind of a bit of strategic mind running my own business, you know. So what we do want to do is sort of see if we can plug you guys in and see if there is help. And a sort of open dialogue with the borough as well. I mean, I know Catherine wants to speak about. Catherine's the lead member for the borough for adult services, adult health. And so Catherine, do you want to come in on that?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for sorry, I'm muddling my words up, Veronica, for coming and talking about your group. You know, we really value what you do and the support that you give to each other. A couple of things you mentioned that I just wanted to understand a bit more. One was that you used to meet here in the town hall and then you couldn't anymore, and I was just curious, do you know what the rationale was? Or no, that is very odd. I'd like to look into that. Where do you meet now?
find somewhere, and we don't have any funds, obviously. So, you know, but we all contribute, and different people in the group have got different jobs. And so we have our own little kitty, and we've found a hall that's quite reasonable now. Well, one of the members did.
Yeah, okay,
So-
I would like to, I'd like to try.
Hmm.
What happened there, it seems an odd decision.
It was COVID time, wasn't it? It stopped, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I understand during COVID that, you know, that might be a problem, but after COVID.
It should have restarted.
Should have restarted. Do you meet sort of on weekdays or is it sort of weekends?
We meet once a month on the first Thursday of the month, and I know it's difficult for people that are working to come along and talk to us in the evenings, but originally the reason it was started in the evening was because a lot of us were working in those days, and there still are quite a lot of the group that are working, that are looking after their loved ones. And so I think that causes a little bit of a problem with us getting speakers. But we didn't, you know, I think you've got a daytime one. I don't know how well that's attended, but I mean, we're quite well attended, which, you know, I know that someone else went to a meeting and there was only 3 there, she was telling me, and she didn't really find it much help. I mean, we're never down to 3, are we? There was all.
So you usually get 12 or more.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, sometimes we get as high as 16.
And we go out twice a year in June and December. Meal and just try and sort of put everything behind us. So.
Sure.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, meeting in the evening, you know, I don't know whether that's an issue, but I'll take that away. I'll take an action away just to have a look at that. And then you mentioned sort of general sort of feeling unsupported by the council, and that you would appreciate some professional support. Is that correct?
Yeah, because, you know, signposting seems to be a big problem. I mean, I guess a lot of us now we do know where to go, but as things are cut, services are cut, then it is more difficult, and things change. Like with the CMHT now, we get a bit confused, don't we, as to who we're phoning and who to get support from when we're in crisis. And we don't get any. I've tried to get people from the CMHT, if someone would come and just sort of keep us up to date so that we know what's going on, but I don't get any response from them.
Okay, so I mean, I think signposting is something that can be fixed. You know, that is, you know, there's not a huge cost associated with that. It is, you know, people sort of sitting down and putting the information together, basically, and maybe doing that with the Foundation Trust as well.
Yeah.
So again, I'll take an action just to see what can be done there. I mean, obviously, you know, we have a difficult financial situation, so we don't have a lot of extra money to spend on things, but it doesn't sound like what you're asking for is hugely expensive. It is that information and help, isn't it? So
yeah, because one of the groups that I'm still on, it always seems to be Bracknell that have got this and got that for carers, and there never seems to be anything now mentioned from Windsor and Maidenhead.
well, I'll speak to my council, Bracknell, and yeah, see if we can get things moving a little bit. Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Councillor Taylor.
Having stolen a lot of my thunder.
Oh,
I think.
sorry.
Obviously being a chair on the adults and health and sitting on the health and wellbeing board as well with Catherine, I think should we just have a conversation offline and see what we can do to help, and what we can maybe arrange a meeting with yourselves and find out what we can do and anything I can do to help.
Okay. Thank you. So what we'll do then, Veronica, is action point. Veronica, what we'll do with the action point is we'll arrange to maybe meet and discuss this offline, and then come back to you, and then obviously see if we can come up with some sort of solution. Signposting is something that, as a borough, we should be doing. I understand if things fell off at a lockdown, and accommodation and stuff like that. I mean, I don't think it's going to be beyond the realms of possibility. So let's see what we can do to support you. Can't make any promises at the moment, but we've put Catherine on the line anyway, so it's a good job she's here. And she is very committed to this, and it's very, very important for us. So let's see if we can get some sort of support for you guys. Thank you for coming, and just keep in contact with us on this. Councillor Baskerville, do you want to make a comment quickly before?
Yeah, I think it's important that I think people like Veronica are given a thumbs up for their hard work over, 20 years or more. I think it's been since your group started. And I think it underlines the point that there's been a huge increase, not only locally, but nationally, in the amount of people caring for the elderly and the disabled. Something that's probably been exacerbated by the fragmentation of the family unit. I think a lot of national governments have kicked this into the long grass for a number of years, and we haven't really grasped the nettle, both at local level possibly and at national level, of dealing with this issue, because it's been there, sat there for 20 or 30 years, and I think we're relying on the good nature of people to do the job for government. And I think that's probably the wrong way round, really. They should be getting a lot more help at a national level. I think our party has been talking about this and has probably been leading on this, but a lot of what we've been saying has been falling on deaf ears to some extent because of the pressure on budgets. But I think it's something which has to be dealt with. And I can't see it getting any better until they get this issue is get taken more seriously. And I think we can only thank you for what you've been done so far, and hopefully you're going to get a bit more help in the future.
It was basically because I wasn't really happy with the system, and I felt that as a governor I had a voice, and the carer strategy was something that I really pushed, along with two other people that were governors that were carers in the same situation. And I still feel very passionate about it, because things that I've been through because of the mental health that my son's problems have almost dragged me down, but the group has lifted me up. And sometimes we could go, and I say, we literally can go there and we could be telling our story and we could be crying. And then another time, we just have a good laugh and we think, well, but there must be loads of people now, because there's so much more mental health problems with these days. And when you think of the amount of people there are, we're 23 in our group. And yeah, that's the way I feel about it. I just feel it's very important. I think it's helped me cope, especially since I lost my husband. The group have been great, because now I have to cope with it all on my own. I don't have family around the area.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. And Councillor Taylor just wants to come in on something.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to empathise with what you're doing really as well, because we had the Alzheimer's group in not that long ago, and I lost my mum through dementia, and it was a very hard process. And I feel quite strongly that it's with things like mental health and things like dementia, that the scope is so broad for people, family and carers and, friends. It's very different to hear things from a professional, which can often be quite clinical, as opposed to a group of people like yourselves that are living that. It's very important that there are groups and people that you can speak to have that conversation, in confidence, but on that level from people that are experiencing it in real time. And I really do hope that we can help you. I'm sure Catherine's nodding away, because it is really, really important that we have groups like that where, you know, people that might not be comfortable speaking to a medical professional or might not feel they can get a lot out of speaking to a medical professional could come to groups and hear first-hand stories and share their fears and be really open about what they're going through. And it's always nice to hear you're not alone in what you're going through, because it's one of those things where you feel, you know, am I alone in this? Am I alone in feeling this? And just to have one person say, I feel like that as well, or I went through that as well, can be such a huge help to people. So really, I really do hope we can help you out, because it's really important.
That's it, because sometimes people don't, they just sit there and they don't say anything the whole meeting. But they've obviously got some comfort because they've come out in the evening and sat there and we have a cup of tea and nice biscuits. And so it is a help, even if you're not going to join in. I think just to hear other people and you know that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. And I think, Lawrence, did you just want to make a comment? I think there is some support out there.
I just got a recommendation from the town manager, Robin. She says she says that she suggests that you can link up with Samaya and her communities team, because they're doing a Carers Week stuff at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they're celebrating Carers Week. So if you touch base with us after this meeting, and then we'll link you in. I mean, there's support in the room. That's the sort of message what we want to get across to you. And it will plug you. And you've got, I know sometimes as a carer you sort of quietly work and get through it and muddle through. But sometimes you've got to ask for help and you've got to be a bit pushy as well. So you've got so come back and I think the point of contact is George. So if you can go through George and then he'll hit everyone over the head with a hammer until he gets some action.
Yeah. We did used to have a stand at Carers Week and we had a professional and we would talk to people. And I think that was quite successful. But then once we lost any contact, you know, that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what we can do to support you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. We could. Helen said, could we reintroduce Carers Champion? Because we've got these champion roles. Maybe it's something we could also have a look at as well. We'll stick that down as an action point. Okay. So if we move on, thank you very much for that, guys. So already's been cancelled this meeting. So now we're on to the town centre, town manager update. Robin, are you here? Anyone? Just Robin's going to join us online, and
hello, I am here. I'm just putting my headset on. And I'm going to turn the camera on.
EastEnders, is it? That was missing.
Can anyone see me? I promise I'm here. Let me. Lawrence.
Yeah.
Can I be seen? Integrated webcam.
As long as we can hear you, that's good. That's good enough. That should be good enough.
Oh, I'm sorry that you can't see my cheery face.
You got the sliding shutter thing on your camera, do you?
Oh, good. Oh yeah, 100% did.
Every time.
That's why I'm not in IT, guys.
Hi, Robin.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Lawrence, am I okay to share my screen?
Yeah, I made you co-host.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Right, let's go, shall we? I want to share, and I want to share that one. I'm going to press share. Okay. So I'm here to do my usual update, of which I'm now going to present. Oh, you can guess here we go. I'm going to do my usual update, looking back over the last couple of months since the last time we spoke, and then looking ahead as well. So we are now scarily partway through March. I'm not entirely sure how that has happened. So we are well into the calendar year leading up to the end of the financial year, and we came out of a really successful festive period that we discussed at our last meeting. So we've kind of hit the ground running with our kind of first few months of the year, and we've packed as much stuff as possible in, and there's loads more wonderful stuff to happen in the upcoming year. So we'll just have a quick whiz through footfall. So Maidenhead High Street, as always, to highlight that this the footfall data is collected from the fenced location on the images there. So at the top, that fenced location. So if you're popping onto the top of the high street, you're still getting counted. If you're popping down to Boots, you're still getting counted. If you're on the middle of the high street, you're still getting counted. And we use some fantastic data and algorithm through Visitor Insights to be able to bring this information together and give us our dwell time. So we saw a really nice uplift in December, 221,221, really satisfying number, with a dwell time of nearly 45 minutes. January, a classic slight drop. That's not unusual, but still a very good January on year, if you look at the bar graph below, with 185,000, just over 185,000 and 48-minute dwell time. And February, we are lagging a little bit behind on year, but not unexpected with various bits of cold weather, 142,500 with a dwell time of 50 minutes. And what's really nice is it might be marginal, but we're seeing that dwell time kind of creep up. And I hope that as we head through the year, 2 more minutes here and there, and where people will be kicking around on the high street for a bit longer, which is really lovely to see. When we look at the St Ives and Watermark development, so reminding you that is our kind of civic area. It's got Library Square in it, the library, the amphitheatre, the town hall, the registrar's office, and that new development, the Watermark development with Hoppy Place and various others. Again, a real success story there, and a nice dwell time. So looking at February specifically, start of February, and I will come further into this, we held a large event in St Ives Road. So we did see a nice uplift in February of footfall year on year, and you can see that on the chart, a lovely healthy February with a really good dwell time of just over an hour. And obviously using that space for events is proving really successful to be able to keep people in that area, but also encourage people to visit the library and use the facilities which are in that area. So St Ives and Watermark had a lovely start to the year. Waterside Quarter, now in its, well, partly into its 4th year, which is fantastic. It's certainly part of the furniture now, had a wonderful festive season. And we always see a higher dwell time here because people they're sitting down, they're relaxing, they're having a lovely dinner, they're maybe having some drinks, it's a slower pace at Waterside Quarter. So that those lower numbers that we're seeing, February 93,676, but that dwell time of 100 minutes, up there nearly at 2 hours dwell time, which is just absolutely fantastic. January was absolutely cracking for Waterside Quarter. February, fantastic again. And, we're starting to see how that shifts as the summer comes round. It's a wonderful place to hang out, so we'll see, hopefully, as we creep across, we'll have another crack in April when we have the Easter holidays, and hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, a heat wave. The larger map for Maidenhead, and this data is more kind of for information, really. The data for the specific zones is more kind of granular and gives you an idea of how those areas are being used. The large area incorporates those zones, but gives us a much wider picture of where our data is coming from. So it includes the train station. So we are getting an idea of people that are coming through our train station. It picks up car parks. It picks up York Road and the football club and various, not quite the football club actually, but in the York Road area. So you can see here, this is our kind of big picture stuff. We don't use this too much, but I do always think it's really important to show because it shows our bounce back from COVID and it shows our kind of growth as a town. So January was absolutely fantastic, 1.2 million. February, we always see a little bit of a lag in February, and that's not unusual. But as we got to go through the year and see those peaks and troughs in terms of traditional seasonal continuing return to offices, more food and drink coming in, more zones coming up to kind of standard, we're going to see more people coming in. And that is also reflective of the number of people which are moving into our town centres. What's on, guys? Well, December, January and February have been smashing. We're always very, very lucky to have an incredible community of people who do events. And I feel like Maidenhead, like, I don't want anyone to ever move because I feel like we've got it perfect now. We've got so many wonderful people that do events, and this is just a sum up of some of the events which happen monthly. 6 bullet points showing 6 things. There are probably 60 things which happen, which we promote further on Make Maidenhead. And we work with lots of different event people and businesses and community groups to be able to promote those pieces of work. And certainly listening to the carers conversation there, that's certainly something that we could also promote in terms of that meetup group. If you felt it were appropriate, we could share that on Make Maidenhead to make sure we're getting the word out there slightly more. So be very happy to be linked up. So December, January, and February were absolutely lovely. I want to highlight, though, one of our events. So the Lunar New Year celebrations took place at the start of February, and they were in conjunction with Eagle Claw Kung Fu School. A new location this year in St Ives Road meant that we were able to expand our activity, put our foot in the water to be able to see what we might be able to do in years to come. A really, really successful event with a lot of people, about 3,500 people on a very cold but sunny February afternoon. Some food stalls. We started minimal with our stalls, but definitely room to grow there. Some food stalls, some special treat stalls. The library did a workshop, Craft Coop did a workshop. Both workshops were absolutely rammed. The library was nearly at full capacity, but a real celebration of the Lunar New Year and a few images here to go with. A real nice spectacle and something that is vibrant at a time where things maybe aren't as exciting. You've had the come down from Christmas and suddenly you've got this. So working with Eagle Claw Kung Fu School, we brought the event to this area because it had outgrown the town, the high street, which is fantastic. So now we're going to outgrow this area. Might take a few years, but we're going to get there. And I'm now looking at the dates for next year, which Lunar New Year falls on the 17th of February next year. I only know that off the top of the head because that is my birthday. So we're looking at dates for next year and how we can build in the event and grow it even more in a celebratory way, because it's something that's been in our community for over 20 years. Eagle Claw Kung Fu School have been part of that journey, and we want to continue to grow it for more people to enjoy. We're during March now, but March is happening, and again, a real fantastic lineup of events happening all over Maidenhead and the surrounding villages. The Big Read happened last weekend. I love that event. I think it's fantastic. It gets people reading, gets libraries on the radar, and to be able to celebrate reading in such a way is fantastic. So great shout out to the Big Read group. I think I might have mentioned it to you before, but Robot Wars. Yeah, Robot Wars is selling fast at the leisure centre. I think they've had to add an extra date, which is fantastic. The St Patrick's Day Carnival at Stripes Bar, which is Maidenhead United's ground. That's this weekend. Money Row Beans, the latte art show, is coming up, and the Friends of Raymil Island do a weekly walk and talk for well-being, which might be another nice link for the carers group as well. I want to give a shout out to a couple of events which are coming up at the football club, which I've been asked to give a little shout for. Football for a fiver. Now, I don't know much about football, but if it's for a fiver, I'd probably get involved. So it's the largest ever non-league day. I'm just reading it off the sheet. That means nothing to me, but apparently it's going to be a good one. And it's £5, a really great way to get involved with our local team and to support the Magpies, which I recently learned is what they're called. But we want to also share information about the Rewards Club, which Maidenhead United have launched. Anyone can be a member of the Rewards Club. You don't have to be a member of the football club. It offers local discounts. Some of them are highlighted down below. But it's a real great way to support the community trust because 30% of all cashback earned is donated directly to the trust. So really nice way of supporting a local community while earning yourself a cheeky 20% off a Pizza Express. So fantastic. Upcoming events, Comic Con at Braywick. Make Maidenhead, which is what I run, is partnering with Waterside Quarter to do an Easter egg hunt around the town. So keep eyes peeled for that. Maidenhead Bridge Rotary's Easter Family Fun Day is just around the corner. Norden Farms Quest Family Fest is back. 2 weeks of wonderful fun, and the Cookham Festival as well. I've already mentioned Robot Wars. It does get another shout out because it's great. And the Cookham Festival. Again, that's just six bullet points of wonderful things which are happening. If you have events that you are doing, if you've got ideas for events that you would like to do, email me. My email address is there. Robin, no, it's not Robin. It's maidenhead.tm@rbwm.gov.uk. And with your events and the things that you want me to share, tag Make Maidenhead on Facebook and Instagram. If you tag it, I get a notification and I will share it. Of course I will. If you don't tag me, I might not see it. So I'd love to be able to share as much as possible. As always, connect with your Royal Borough. Make Maidenhead the official guide for what's going on. Visit Windsor, the official guide for, it's the visitor information service for Windsor, for the Royal Borough, sorry, and My Royal Borough, which is networking recruitment. And I know that we are planning to get My Royal Borough at the forum at some point soon. That is the end of my presentation. Questions, please. Oh, and there's my face.
Excellent. Thank you very much for that, Robin. Loads and loads of stuff going on as always. Really good presentation. So much to take in. We'll have to rewind, go online and have a look at it to soak it in. Have we got any questions here, guys? No? Okay.
I've stunned everyone into silence.
Lawrence, do you want to come in with any questions? No? Okay. All right. So it's open to the public. If you guys want to ask any questions, Robin is the town manager here. So any questions about the town? Don't be shy. Yes. Jack, do you want to give this, mind passing gentleman the mic?
I'm just wondering if there's any more clarification on the bus route amendments that are coming up on the 5th of April. It's only 3 weeks away, and there seems to be a lack of clarification. I've looked at the website, and it's not at all clear, particularly in the town centres. Maidenhead is the map they give us is a white square that says Central Maidenhead with no roads in it and certainly no bus routes. And Windsor has a circle saying Central Windsor without any indication. I have heard a rumour on the revised 16 bus route, which is the key one between the two towns, that it's not going to stop in Central Maidenhead, which is a bit, alarming. I hope that's wrong. So if there's any clarification coming from the website, that would be very grateful. Thank you.
I don't have a clear update now. I certainly haven't been given any information to say that bus routes will not be coming into central Maidenhead. So I hope that that is a big rumour. But the transport team I know are working very hard to get all the information out and make sure everything is updated. I will probably be seeing them tomorrow. So I will give them a prod and make sure that information is starting to flow out. Okay.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. And just to come back on that point of the bus routes, I mean, I had some issues myself, you know, as a ward councillor in Grenfell Road, and we had some bus stops that were put in place, and we didn't, as councillors, we didn't know where these routes were going. Some of these are commercial routes, and sort of, you know, but a lot of them are, all of them are commercial routes actually, although some of them are funded by the borough. And sometimes we don't get notified, but I think officers are working on comms package, and we can put that down as an action point as well, can't we? And see if we can get some information out before the next forum. Okay. Councillor Shaw.
Yeah, I was just going to highlight, I did receive an email recently and a link that the proposed bus routes are available on the website by route. So there's basically a web page with all the, you've got that what you got, because I think that one shows, at least certainly the ones by Hill, it shows every stop. So it's 60 missing stops.
This is off the map, saying, oh, this is going to central Windsor, this is going to central Maidenhead. It doesn't say anything else. You just to have the finite, you know, knowledge of where these routes really are going to end up or be going through. Okay. Have a look.
Yeah. Have a chat with you.
Okay. So we take that offline and see if we can get some clarification for you guys. Obviously, if people don't know where the buses are coming in, then, you know, they're not going to use them, and then them services will drop off. Yeah. So we'll push that. That's quite important for us. Any other questions? Councillor Baskerville.
Well, just on the buses, I'm glad to see they've got the Reading bus back after some years. I mean, it only used to go out on a Saturday for many years, and when I was a youngster, there was one every 12 minutes. And it's great to see it back. I just hope people use it regularly because, you know, Reading does have a good shopping centre, and it'd be good for people to go over there and use it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and any more whilst we're on the buses? No? Okay, let's get off the buses. Any more? Councillor Taylor, you got questions? I think that's everything, Robin. You can have an early night.
Questions. That's heartbreaking, guys.
Yeah. Well, we've got another attendee here. So we've got Lee Page here with us.
Hello, Lee.
Talking about the big weekender. So we can, Lee, do you want to come up and give us some information, or Robin? You can do a tag team on the big weekender. Tell us all about it.
I mean, what I'll say is that I've been having conversations with lots of event organisers that have got wonderful things coming up over the next few months. The calendar until the end of the year is getting jam-packed, and things like the big weekender are, you know, wonderful assets to be able to put into that. So I myself am very excited to see that event come forward and to work with Lee to promote it.
Thank you. Lee, you've got the floor. That's it.
Hello. All right, just a little bit about myself first, just to let everyone know. Me and my family are fully Maidenhead, born, bred, educated, played rugby in Maidenhead, and so is my son at the moment, though he's recently going to a school in Windsor. And we, for many years, well, for all of our years, until I was tall enough to reach the dishwasher at Smokies in Maidenhead, was the family business, a Smokies nightclub. That's now gone, and we have an events company called A&L Events, and we run events in the local area and also help manage other people putting on events, which I'm not sure exactly how to do it. So some of the events that we're running at the moment ourselves, for example, Five Fest Music Festival, which is based between Windsor and Maidenhead. That started in 2018 and we're still managing to go strong. We also have Firefest that started last year at Braywick. We're running micro events that we call them as gin and rum and sausage and cider under Daybeats brand. And one of the bigger events that we're helping manage this year is an event in Dedworth called Rock the Wreck, which is a community festival. We've stepped in to help them and we're working closely with their team. Something that a lot of people don't understand about events, I think everyone sees hundreds or thousands of people and think, oh, you must be making loads and loads of money. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Events are extremely expensive to put on, and they are very risky as well, especially with the last few summers we've had. The COVID situation also didn't help a lot of events. As though there's a lot of new events coming up, there are many that are also going at the same time. Just for an example, to put on Firefest costs around £150,000 to put that event on. The entertainment budget for that event is £70,000. So when you're talking about these kind of figures and you don't get a good turnout, it can go wrong very, very quickly. The headline act, for example, for Firefest 2025 is around £30,000. That's for an hour. I should have learnt the guitar or been able to sing better, to be honest. Security, for example, is £10,000. You know, it just racks up and up and up. And it's getting very difficult for events to take place and be able to hold their head above the water. Firefest, for example, was £20,000 to put on. It's £5,000 an hour to put that event on. So they are risky events. But the reason why we have always done this in our family is because we live and breathe entertainment. And Maidenhead and the Royal Borough is our home. It's where we feel that we want to put our effort into. And thankfully, we've had fantastic support from the residents and the council and people from outside the area as well. So we came up with this idea of the big weekender, because not every family can afford a £40 ticket or a £30 ticket to go to a music festival. This event, the idea behind this event to start with was to make it free. However, the costing of this event is looking to be around £45,000 to £50,000 to put on. That's one problem that we've got to find that money to be able to put this event on. The other thing was meeting the licensing objectives. A free event is very hard to manage. You don't know who's coming in and who's going. And the worst thing is you don't know how many people are going to turn up on the day. So you may have a feeling that you might get 3,000 people turn up over the course of the weekend, but it's beautiful weather and you get 6,000. Your security is not up to it. Your food traders aren't up to it. You don't have the stock and you can't manage the event safely. So we put in a nominal fee of £2 for the event, to enter the event. Under threes go for free. We're also looking to work with the council and community groups to allocate a fair few hundred tickets to those people and families that cannot afford the £2 entrance fee for the event. So bear with us, we are very early in the day. We only received our licence, I think it was last week. We didn't want to start advertising or working on something without knowing that we'd secured that. So we are only a few days into this with our planning of the final goal. But we've got a great idea of what this event needs to be. It's a community event. It's our community. Braywick is the location for this on the 19th and 20th of July. I think it's a very good location. It's still centralish Maidenhead, with a walk from the town centre, a short walk from the town centre. It's surrounded by 3 major car parks. It's got public transport links, but it's also kind of far enough out of town not to heavily affect the town centre. We are looking at hoping for the attendance of around 3,000 people per day, ranging on the Saturday and the Sunday. There will be a stage there with music. There will be a fun fair there, which is with Freylands, who are our partners in this venture. There will be a food village and a craft market. all of the areas to do with the event are and have to be community first. So this is looking to get community traders, whether it's crafts, food, people involved first, and collaboration with the local charities and community-run projects to have them be able to turn up to the event, advertise what they do, and really use it as a sales platform for small to large, whoever really wants to get involved, to give them a platform. One of the people that we're talking to at the moment is Maidenhead Archers, and they're keen to try to put something together. I think it's a fantastic idea. So really, we just want a battle cry, really, of all local people. If you want to be involved in this, it is your event for that weekend, and our details are on our website, and I can share that later, and they can just drop us a line. But I mean, that's really the basis of the event. It's to put on an event that can be enjoyed by all families, all of our communities, without breaking the bank, really. And hopefully we have good support, and the event is being put together to be able to be self-sustainable. It's important that it can do this. It can run on itself. Obviously with help from sponsors and stuff, of which we've already received some, which has been fantastic. But as I said before, £45,000 to £50,000 event over the course of 2 days. Over half of it, us and our partners have put forward so far, and we've just got to get over the line to get the other half. And hopefully we get good weather, and we'll have a really great summer event at Greywick. And that's it.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Lee, and thank you for hosting the event. I did visit you had an event there, fireworks event, didn't you? And that was really good. I enjoyed that. Fireworks were really good. Went on for ages. And you had rides as well. We had what was it, the bomber? Yeah, did you have the bomber there? Dive bomber, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yes.
that was good. That was good. More rides though. More rides this time. Maybe the cage. I remember the trailer used to have that big cage when we were kids. Yeah, it was all good. The only thing I was going to say, could you give out your email, your contact, Facebook, your account details? Where can people find you? Have you got?
So if you go onto Google and just type in A&L events or FiFest, or you'll find us straight away. But it's we can share that with you, and we're on social media at the moment. We've only just started. I think we only posted a couple of days ago, really. So yeah, I can make sure that get that to Robin, especially, that she can help post out as well.
And we can add that to the minutes, can we, Lawrence? So just so people can find you guys and contact you. Thank you. That's really good, and really good to get hold of the community event. Have we got any questions? Robin, do you want to come in before we go to the questions?
Yeah, I'll just echo kind of everything that Lee said, really. Whatever events are coming forward, it's so important that they are for the wider community. And I think there's something really interesting in terms of being able to offer it at such a low price. I'm very thrilled to be working to help promote it. And as with all community events, as long as I know about it, I'll promote it. Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Del Campo.
Thank you. Not much to add there. I was going to ask whether you guys were plugged in with each other, and you clearly are. But I didn't want to say nothing. I felt bad for not asking Robin any questions. So I wanted to just say thank you, really. Thank you for what you do for the community and your energy. I had my first date with my husband in Smoky Joe's 25 years ago. So you've got a lot to answer for as well. And to wish you best of luck. I've put it in the diary. Is there anything else you need from the council at this point?
We are having talks. We've had a lot of support and a lot of advice and officers from licensing, police, councillors. We've done this for a lot of years now, so it gets easier the more you do it. But I must admit, we've had good support. There are always factors. We can only plan, but the more planning we do, the less reactive we are, which is key. there will be talks with our event plan has gone in. Safety advisory group will be going through that at the moment. I need to talk to a few people about things that help with like ground rent and things like that. We're not a charity, A&L. However, the way that we've set this business up is we've kind of ring fenced what it costs to put this event on. Anything that is donated to or made by that event on its doors and stall holders, at sponsorships and things like that, goes directly straight back into it. The more that we save then is not the more that we make, it's the more that we actually get to spend in other areas. So if we've put it together a plan of 45,000 and we save 3,000 somewhere on, for example, rent, that 3,000 you'll see on the stage. Like I mentioned, 70,000, you're not going to be able to go to the Maidenhead big weekender, unfortunately, and watch feeder or scouting for goals. We don't have the budget for that. But the job is there's so many hidden expenses that people just don't see. They don't see fencing. They don't understand the security is £22 an hour and stuff, you know. So we need to get every penny we possibly can and really push it onto that stage. And the best way of doing that is dealing with local people, local bands, local dance groups, you know, local schools, local people that have got skills and things that they want to bring that entertain people. It's a win-win. They get to push the thing that they love to do, and people get to enjoy it, and hopefully it's just helps build community bond, really.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with you. I mean, when we have events on, it's amazing how you get the hordes and hordes of people coming out. I mean, the Lunar New Year, what we had in St. Ives, it was just loads and loads of people coming out. And same with the festival when we have it in Kidwells Park. So this will be no different. I'm very impressed that we managed to, well, you're managed to host it for only £2. I mean, you know, that's unbelievably cheap. I mean, you know, sort of, you know, you see all these events all around the country and they are an arm and a leg. And I think the key thing is for people, what they really want is they want to see all the big names and all the rest of it. But actually what they really want is just to get together with the family and friends and go out and spend, you know, a few hours together and, you know, long of beers, nice and cold. And you, like you say, you've got loads of fairground rides and you've got a decent bit of food and some maybe candy floss and drinks. And, you know, there you go. What more do you want, eh? But thank you very much for that, Lee. Have we got any questions? Councillor Martin, you've got a question. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick one, Lee. Events and apps wise, with people, stall holders and etc. Is there anything in particular you're looking for at the moment, or is it across the board at the moment?
We are open to if you think that you've got something that you want to sell or you know, then get in touch. As long as obviously the paperwork's all in order, then yeah, I mean, the idea is complete diversity, you know, like our communities are. We're really looking to sell everything in that market, from a geranium to an oil painting, you know, like it wants to be that feeling where you're walking through a Spanish market on a Sunday and you can see everything from some toys to, you know, some fruit and veg, you know. That's the idea of it. I mean, it's the event's running from 12 till 10, so you're looking at a good 8 hours worth of loitering there, you know, sitting down, having a picnic, enjoying the sun, hopefully. So yeah, the more the merrier. We've got the space, we just need the people to fill it now.
Thank you. Brilliant. Maybe, Robin, we could plug in with our farmers market as well. Maybe they could have a little session there for the weekend. I know
certainly worth a chat.
They're very good. That farmers market is so good. Any other questions? Sure. Sorry.
Yeah, just how, so to get hold of you, that was through A&L events. Is that the best place for them to?
So if you went on to A&L events, you would find your way back to A&L events. There is a trade with us icon, drop down menu, and you click on that, you can select any of our events that we're running, so you'll see all of them, and then you just, there's a form, it asks you to fill in the more detail the better, because we get quite a lot of people applying. We understand that certain things might not be up to date at that specific time because it's festival season's only just started, so things like insurance, Some people might not have up-to-date insurance right this second because they'll start them really kind of about now. And then it will go into our team and we pick, and that's it. The more information you give us, the better. Pictures of your stalls are key and what you're looking to sell. And also we ask how much you're looking to sell stuff for, because we also don't like it when you go to an event and you are starving and you ask for a burger and they say it's 15 quid and you're stuck. It's starve or pay the £15. So we do keep our prices in line with what the event's meant to be like.
That's sensible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Communities, you know, that might help you.
This is going to be the first event. Our furry friends are welcome at the event. So well-behaved doggies are welcome to attend the event on leads. So we felt that that's another part of the community event, especially being held at Braywick, where there's lots of dog walkers and stuff, that we should, you know, have that open to them as well, as long as they can behave and they pick up after themselves.
Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you very much. And the other venue guys, I had like a message sent through, like on the sponsored message on Facebook earlier, the gin and juice one in Braywick. You've got a Baby D coming down to that, right?
Yes. So we had a lot of events. We used to hold 3 events in Firefield area. 2 of them we've now moved to Braywick Leisure Centre. So we're working very closely with Braywick Leisure Centre, the recreation ground, also Maidenhead Rugby Football Club. We've worked well and very closely with them. They're attending Firefests, doing skill sessions. I'm hoping that they're going to also attend the big weekender, doing skill sessions for kids as well. And we have 3 events booked in at Braywick Leisure Centre this year, which is gin and rum and sausage and cider, and one in December, which will be like a 2000s. It's a Kevin and Perry reunion gig there. So that'll be something different for us. And we're looking to put on more as well, including like a country night and things like that. So we're really, it's a great place to work with that leisure centre. The management team are very helpful as well. So hopefully we can just go strength to strength with them, putting on some events in the area.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lee. Have we got any other questions from anyone? No? Well, that's it. Thank you very much and wish you all the best. And if there's anything that the borough can do to help, just you know, get in contact with us. Thank you. Cheers. And I think that's everything from you, Robin. Robin, did you want to add anything on? Or?
No, thank you. I think that's everything.
Cool.
Lots going on.
Cheers. Thank you. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move on to agenda item number 8, resident questions and suggestions. Councillor Taylor, did you want to talk about the change of name from Maidenhead Forum instead of Maidenhead Town Forum? I mean, because we were going to debate this last week, but you wasn't here, so.
We've floated this idea quite a few times, haven't we? And I think that the theory behind it is it being called Maidenhead Town Forum alienating people from the unparished areas coming, asking questions, you know, companies, charities, etc. Should we maybe change the name to Maidenhead Forum? We do have 7 unparished areas, and I know previously it's been quite town centric for quite some time, hasn't it? We have expanded now, but do we feel the name should be changed? Open to debate?
We discussed it for a short amount of time in your absence, and my feeling is we'll be moving towards a Maidenhead Town Council in the foreseeable future, and this body sits in place of having a town council, and therefore calling it Town Forum is more consistent with where we're probably heading in the very near future. That's it.
Okay. Councillor Del Campo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a strong opinion either way. Richard makes a good point, but then equally it could just be called Maidenhead Council, couldn't it? So, yeah, I really don't mind. What I'm kind of excited about is that we have a forum now that's got so much more energy than it used to have. I think you and Helen are a great team. Sorry, Councillor Taylor, you're a great team. And there's energy and there's enthusiasm, and we're seeing people sitting in the public seats again. That's the most important thing for me. I really don't mind if it's called Maidenhead Town Forum or Maidenhead Forum. I don't mind. I'm easy, but yeah,
Okay.
just really well done for breathing some life back into it.
Thank you. We could call it Maidenhead Council, couldn't we? Just change it for the Maidenhead Council. That'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? Hey, shall we just do that? Have a motion. Just take over the town hall. Councillor Baskerville.
Yeah, I think we've been there before. I mean, I'm just about old enough to remember when we had the Maidenhead Borough Council and Cookham Rural District Council, which was where the two originally came from. And that they ceased in 1974, and we had the Royal Borough came into being on April the 1st, 1974. We've still got the beating the bounds of the old Maidenhead boundary, but this is basically designed to give a voice to the people in the unparished area, i.e. Maidenhead Town. And that was the idea behind it, because places like Cookham, Bray, and Hurley and Walthams and that have got their own voice there. So, which harks back to, as I say, to the old Rural District Council days. But I've got no problem with extending it to some extent, because, we're still very much all living together, cheek by jowl, especially with transport links and that. We probably feel, we've got just as much in common with places like Hurley and the Walthams and Bray and Cookham and Cox Green and the rest of it. And I think whatever we come up with, I think it just needs to be hopefully something which we can stick with, because as I say, it's just over 50 years now since we Maidenhead Borough Council ceased to be, and the rather elaborate Royal Borough of Windsor Maidenhead, which includes places like Raysbury and Datchet and the Sunnings and that sort of thing. There's very little link other than the fact that they were in the same borough between some of those places. I'm sure some people living in Sunningdale hardly ever go to Cookham, for instance, and vice versa. And very, very few people in Maidenhead would go to Horton, Raysbury and Datchet, for instance. It's just where we are. And certainly being in Maidenhead, I think we've got our own voice here. And I think that, the more the merrier as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. Thank you. Has anyone from the public gallery got any views on this? Is there any preference? No one's really fast, are they?
Do you know what, though? It's really nice to see so many people in the public gallery. And I think this was one of the reasons we started having this conversation, wasn't it? It was we were talking and for a while we kind of fell off a cliff with this forum somewhat, and it got a bit stagnated, didn't it? But I think we've started to move on from that point, and I think we're gradually, making it I don't want to say a better forum, but I suppose a place where residents feel they can come, and ask questions. For a while, it got a bit.
Yeah, it was too restricted.
Yeah.
It was too restricted. I used to be chair, it used to be packed, and then when I got knocked off it a couple of years ago, and it started dying down. But now I'm back on it, I might get kicked off again. But you can ask anything you want. You can come in and heckle and ask questions, and that's what it's all about. But anything you can put on the agenda, and then but we'll do our best to sort of get these things answered for you. The good thing here is you've got officers there. It's all right doing it online, because online you can have a go and no one knows what's going on. But here you can get the answers, and you've got Lawrence here as a clerk, really good. Most of the stuff with the action points we've addressed from previous meetings. So that's really it's really the right way to go, isn't it? Richard, did you want to come in about the devolution and the town councils and how that's going to that's going to pan out? Because that's going to be very
Obviously,
interesting.
the
change.
issue of, well, I was going to say to Clive, I don't think we're talking about extending geographical area covered, just changing the name and whether that would make it more inviting to people who are further away from the town centre. I think if I understand Helen properly. Basically a demand for a town council in Windsor arose probably 4 or 5 years ago. We had a community governance review that found that people in Windsor wanted a town council, and then it came to full council and the Conservatives voted it down, even though it was their own motion. The local government review proposes amalgamating the current boroughs and districts into bigger unitary authorities, with the target of 500,000 residents. In Berkshire, that would mean at least 2 or 3 of the boroughs combining to form the scale that the Labour government want to see. With that in mind, the administration is looking towards restarting the community governance review for Windsor, which we know people in Windsor definitely want, but we're also thinking that if a new council could be, the whole of Berkshire based in Reading, or it could be east of Berkshire based somewhere else, that people in Maidenhead would want a voice for themselves. And that would be provided by a town council, which is effectively a large parish council with a slightly better sounding name. And so with that view, I think it's in mind when we have resources to maybe have a community governance review where we consult with residents to see if that's something they're interested in as well.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Del Campo.
Yeah, I'm thinking, well, it's possible to overthink these things, isn't it? Should we just do it? No.
Do it. What do you want to change? Maidenhead Council then?
Oh, no. I don't think we've got the powers to do that, but, I can't see any negatives of calling it Maidenhead Forum.
Yeah, okay.
I mean,
We'll do that.
obviously Councillor Coe's mentioned, some things that might happen in the future, that we can deal with that as we come to it. I just think, this has been bounced around for a while now.
Yeah.
Should we just get on and do it?
Okay.
And see what happens.
Yep.
Do we need to have a vote or anything?
Yeah, we can have a vote.
I mean, if Councillor Taylor's proposing it, I'm happy to second.
Yeah.
I just have all four members in agreement to change this forum's name from Maidenhead Town Forum to Maidenhead Forum. All in agreement?
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
Wouldn't abstention.
Okay, that's brilliant. Okay, in that spirit, there was also something about within the Constitution about funding as well, wasn't there? The Constitution allows the forum to have its own sort of funding, almost like the parish councils. I have had conversations about that. Did you want to come in on that?
Well, you had most of the conversation about that, but yeah, I've heard a rumour tonight, and it's been confirmed. We spoke about this last year.
Last year, yeah.
Early last year.
Yeah. That was another thing I spoke about when I was first chair of Maidenhead Town Forum. I said we should have funding.
Yeah, because in the Constitution, we are allowed funding for community projects, and we queried it, and we were told that there's no money, et cetera, which is understandable. But there appears to be some funding route now, so it is possible that we may have a small pot of money for community projects. I'm guessing we're going to come back with details, maybe the next meeting, 8th of May, with a bit more information. But we thought we'd put that out there because a lot of people, it was quite a good debate when we had that conversation last year, and we were, I won't say we were forceful, but we were quite, trying to get this money because obviously we got the Maidenhead Town team going on, and there's lots of other community projects that are now starting within Maidenhead. And it would be nice for residents to have an input into how that money is spent in the community. So we will put that as an agenda item when we have enough information to give, I think. If that's...
Yeah. So I think we can bring that. I mean, it helped that we had the leader of the council at the last meeting, and
I think he enjoyed it. He had fun on that one. And also we've had a budget approved and adopted, which is very important. So what we'll do is we'll move it to next agenda item in May. So in consultation with Chris Joyce and Councillor Werner as the lead member for Maidenhead, to have a look at what funding we can have available for the forum, and you know, for things like you know, the town team funding or volunteer groups, or just something like the Christmas lights. I mean, we've got the spending review panel at the moment to control funding, but you know, things like Christmas lights, we had to really fight last year to get the lights on. So stuff like that. So that could help. So, Lawrence, we could have that on the next agenda item for May, and then see where we are with the funding. Okay, thank you. Is there any other residents, resident suggestions or councillor suggestions for the next meeting that you'd like us to discuss? Anybody? Okay. Well, if there is anything, just let us know. Drop us an email. Oh, yeah, yes, sure. Do you want to grab the mic there? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, look, even a mic switched on off that.
The state of the pavements, please.
Yes.
That's what we're worried about.
The state of the
elderly, especially down Bridge Avenue.
Right. Yes.
It's a disgrace.
Okay.
Get Councillor Hill in.
Yeah, okay. Okay, we could get the lead member for highways in, maybe for the next meeting and have a look at that. There is, I mean, there's contracts in place, and if there are issues with the pavements, I mean, we've got the RBWM reported function, but the general state of the footpaths, I mean, you know, if I take my councillor hat off, I mean, they're not brilliant, really. They're really not brilliant. But if I stick the hat back on, I think the borough's...
Over and ended up in hospital.
I know.
So we worry about.
I know. I hear you. It's not brilliant. But let's get Councillor Hill in, and then we can grill him about it and find out what's happening. And yeah, I think that's sensible, isn't it, Lawrence? And you know, there's no promise we can fix everything, but as long as they're aware. And we can find out where the, you know, the runway is and sort of where we are in terms of planning it in for repair. That'd be good. Okay, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you wanted to raise? Pavement parking, is that on Bridge Avenue as well? Yeah. Police. Okay. So,
I think so. I think it's a police.
yeah. Okay. Maybe Thames Valley Police for the next one as well. Then. Yeah. So we'll try to get an agenda item because we haven't had the police in for a while. That might be helpful. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get the police on the next one. Okay. Councillor Baskerville.
Yeah, I mean, on the pavements, I think it's a general problem, particularly with the utility companies. When I've had Cadent down my road and the area in my Park Pinckney's Green in the last few weeks, and they do try and put good the work they've done digging up, putting in the pipes and that sort of thing, but it still looks very patchworky, and they also some of the grass verges have been churned up quite badly as a result of some of the work, and I think that's replicated through quite a lot of areas where utility companies come and dig up, and then about a year later another utility company comes along and digs up, and we've got this strange patchwork on the pavements, which can't be good. I mean, no matter how good a job they do patching it up, if you've got several patches in quick succession, when you get frosty weather and that sort of thing, those edges tend to deteriorate, and then you get trip hazards. And I think it's something to be looked at generally. I don't think there's a simple answer other than try and liaise with all the various utility companies. But that's easier said than done sometimes. But I'm well aware of it myself. I walk around regularly, and I'm not in the first flush of youth myself now, and I certainly notice it. The amount of not just the pavements, but some of the roads as well, which they sort of break up with particularly the heavy vehicles, which utility companies use. And say the bad weather we've had recently, the combination of all those things together, it's a sort of cocktail for, things, making things worse.
Okay.
And whether Councillor Hill's got a magic wand he can wave, I don't know, but it'd certainly be worth hearing what he's got to say and whether he's got any solutions.
Okay. I'm just thinking, we could get the utility providers, but rather than that, maybe we could get highway officer down and see exactly what we're doing to deal with this. And yeah, Robin, do you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just going to come in on parking on pavements, which is an issue we have in various parts of the town. As much as possible, we do have enforcement officers that are out in the community and they are enforcing against things like that. But as much as possible, if you see parking on pavements, or if people are parking overnight on pavements and various things like that, that can be reported. You can request enforcement via the report it link. So it might be good to share that link with the minutes, and that goes to the parking team and as long as we get a photo and a bit of evidence that they are on the pavement, then we can enforce against that at times, maybe when the enforcement officers aren't there. So we can request enforcement, but we just need the evidence. So yeah, that's a really good tool to be able to support that piece of work.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Coe.
Yeah, sorry, Robin, just to contradict you a bit. Parking on pavements where there's no other restriction is what's called an obstruction offence, and that's similar to someone parking across your drive. It can only be enforced by the police. What our enforcement officers can do is enforce any parking where there is a restriction. So if there's a yellow line or a double yellow line and someone has parked on the pavement, then the restriction applies to the full width of the highway. So that will normally include the pavement. So it's quite complicated and quite frustrating in the sense that it's split between two authorities. And I think the reason for that is the obstruction offences involve a level of judgment, whereas a double yellow line, single yellow line ones are just, you're there, you've broken the rules. So it is a bit complicated, and obviously, unfortunately, pavement parking is never a great priority for the police versus other crimes. But I know that the Police and Crime Commissioner is on the case, and we'll see if that improves. If you have a very specific problem, there are some measures, and it would be worth, I suppose, contacting myself or Councillor Hill if there's a really acute problem. Then we can talk about additional measures we can take.
Thank you. Yeah, I think there is a bit of a problem down Bridge Avenue. It's a lot of delivery drivers there in the evenings. One of the things that I thought about doing down there was that the bus lane is reducing the bus lane and having more parking there, short-term parking. And I haven't really sent my chaser email, so I'm probably due to send a chaser email to Highways Department on that. Robin, what do you think about that, reducing those bus lanes? That's, because the bus bays, but they're so big, aren't they? I mean, it's from an era where we had a bus station down Bridge Avenue.
I think it's definitely something to pick up with the transport team. I know I do recognise some of the ladies actually that are in the public gallery this evening and that would have come to an engagement session that was held at the library probably 18 months ago now. So, that was certainly something that was brought up. Hi, gals. That was something that was brought up as part of those conversations and thinking about, are there underutilised areas and various things like that. But I think maybe that is a conversation for the transport team to be able to bring that back into the conversation and see where they're at with that piece of work, or whether or not there is something that can be brought forward for that.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, everybody. I think, is there any more questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Taylor.
Like to butt in if possible. At the risk of making a very large agenda for the next meeting, I'm just thinking May, we're heading into, I say this chuckling, peak heat season and British summertime. Would it be worth getting the fire service in? Because I know we have wildfires and we have a lot of people jumping into cold water and cold water rescues. And I know the water rescue unit is now based in Slough. That's our Thames Valley rescue unit. So I wonder if it'd be worth getting them in to talk about fire safety and cold water and that kind of stuff prior to summer, hopefully hitting us.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good idea. Serious subject, yeah. Let's get the fire service in as well. Yeah, we'll put that down. Thank you. And now, are there any other questions before we close? Any comments, any other recommendations? No? Thank you very much, everyone. That draws the meeting to a close. The next meeting is going to be held on 8th of May. 8th of May, everybody. Save that date. Thank you very much. And if there's anything you could think of, ping us an email. We'll add it onto agenda. We'll have a big bumper summer agenda, that'll be. Cheers, take care. Good night. Bye-bye.